Lucas, welcome to People in Legal.
Thanks, Dave. Good to see you, mate.
Mate, good to see you too. We tried to tee this up at ILTA this year and that sort of stuff, but I mean, I guess you are so busy. You had so much stuff going on, and you had so many clients who wanted to see you and people wanting to talk to you and that kind of stuff and things. And it's fantastic we finally got a moment to actually chat and minus the filters. We're talking before the call. We talked about maybe putting some fun filters on some reindeer horns or some other crazy things as well, some cat things or a beard or whatever else.
You know what I was talking about, right? Do you remember that video where the guy he couldn't get the cat? He was a lawyer and he couldn't get the cat thing up. It was so funny. But yeah, what you can do with technology these days.
I love it. I love what you can do with technology. Honestly, you're trying to say something serious, and next thing you know, you've got a video filter up. It's just hilarious. I mean, I hate to think about some of the ones that might be out there, but for our audience and people, you're very well known, very well liked, and respected. But for the people that don't know you, do you want to give yourself an introduction in terms of actually who you are, what you're about, and your career?
Yeah, sure. The Cliff Notes version, so we don't spend the next hour talking about it, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm. Well, thank you for all those kind words, by the way. I hope all of those things are true. I've been
All true.
around. I've been around a long while. I guess the thing that I actually say to clients, and it still gets a laugh today, is the legal industry is sort of like the Hotel California. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. And it's certainly true for me.
Absolutely.
I actually started though. I had nothing to do with the legal industry or technology for that matter. I did an undergraduate degree at Melbourne University in evolutionary zoology. So I learned about primate evolution.
My
That's where I
goodness
started.
me.
Yeah, from studies, and then as I was doing that, I had to pay my way through college, and so I wanted to be a movie star and a rock star. So I did a couple of TV commercials, and I actually got a gig as a lead singer in a rock band. We were terrible, and
Really?
I worked part time getting through university as well. Yeah, it was terrible. The band was called Crank It. We've got some. We've got some really average songs out there, but
Well, what
it
sort of
was like
style? What kind
it
of
was
style was it?
sort of pop rock, I guess you'd call it. Pretty average pop rock. The lead guitarist was actually the guy who owned the band, and he was a bit of a stoner, to be frank, and spent too much time sitting in front of the amplifier listening to his own guitar riffs. So that was sort of fun. But anyway, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I sort of had a sliding door moment. I actually got an audition and then got offered a minor part in there's a movie called LA Confidential. I don't know if you remember, it
Yep.
was years
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I
in
do.
the 90s. Anyway, so I got offered a part in that, and I also got
Wow.
offered at the same time a management position, first ever, grown up job, and stupidly asked my parents which one I should take, and they said get a real job, and so that's sort of my sliding door. So I started in I was selling mobile phones back when they were bricks, right, and worked
Fantastic.
at a flagship store for one of the big retail chains in Australia at the time. And then from there, found my way into computers just at the time when everyone was buying computers for home. So, mums and dads were coming in, buying all the computers, all that stuff. And so that's how I sort of got into technology. Again, really using my degree in primate evolution on that one. And then I know, right? And
I was
then
going to say,
yeah, finally, that IT led me to a job in a law firm as a on the IT team, and later the IT director at a firm. That's how I got into legal. I was at a smaller firm. Well, it's a mid-sized firm in the Australian legal industry in Melbourne, and that was early 2000s. And about, I guess it was a couple of years in, we had to get rid of our practice management system at the time, Keystone, for all of those people listening along who remember.
oh yeah, remember that?
Yeah, an old product, an old Adirant product actually. But we had to get rid of that, and we chose Enterprise and WebView from Elite. And we were the second firm, I think we were the third firm to implement, but second firm to purchase that product in Australia. Elite didn't have a market there, so and being a lean law firm as it was, I was the project manager and application consultant and technical consultant on the firm side, and with the help of others at the firm, obviously, but not a lot of it. We managed to get up and running in about 9 months, and at that point, there weren't many people who knew Elite's products, and so Elite offered me a job, and there you have it. That's how I ended up at Elite back in 2003, I guess, 2003, 2004.
Wow.
And yeah, thanks to Kay Sycamore, by the way, if you happen to be watching along. Hi, Kay. How are you? Hope you're well.
Okay.
Um, I think everybody knows Kay as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, she really helped me in my career and moving into that legal space and getting into Elite. Elite was just a fantastic place for me. I was there almost 15 years. In Asia Pac first, I ended up managing the Asia Pacific operation and did really well there. Took Elite from sort of just starting in the market to being market leader in that time. And Elite took me up to America, where I am sitting now in Philadelphia on the East Coast and managed the Eastern region until 2018 when I joined Cosine, which at the time in 2019 was a small services business based in Auckland. Had one product in a matter planning product that I actually helped them build whilst I was at Elite, because Elite had a sort of gap in their product suite at that time. And from there, we've just gone gangbusters. We now have 6 products, and I've got a great bunch of developers, fantastic team of people, and it's been very successful over the past few years. We've grown 28% year on year for the past 6
Wow.
years. I was employee number 9. We're heading towards 40 now, so it's been a wild
Amazing.
ride.
Amazing. I mean, and what I guess what are the so you've actually so just recapping then, you've gone from like an evolutionary zoology degree to basically offering a movie star like potential to be an actor and that sort of stuff, a lead singer in a band. Basically then, going into law firm and actually working the whole legal tech industry and things. And I mean, yeah, what a really interesting journey. I mean, I guess what is it drew you to the whole legal tech industry? What was the big attraction for it?
Honestly, if I was to be completely frank, I was looking for my next gig, and there was
Mm,
a spot there. I didn't really have any particular affinity towards legal, but it looked like a good role to get into, and so I jumped into it, and it all worked out. And look, it was law firms are an interesting beast, as you know. So it was great to work on that side of the table and understand what it's like working with lawyers and working with the finance group, and I was the IT group, but working with others, HR, marketing, all that sort of stuff. It's very different to sitting on the outside looking in. Lots of interesting things go on in law firms, that's for sure.
mm.
So yeah, it wasn't a strategic decision for me, to be frank, Dave. It was just something that I sort of fell into, and as a result of that, it really did redirect my career entirely. As I said, it was sort of a sliding door thing a bit before that when I got into sort of management type jobs, but that really solidified my direction career wise.
Isn't serendipity a beautiful thing? I mean, some
I
of the
know
best
it was
moments
just
in life.
happenstance.
Yeah, I know. It's just incredible. I mean, some of the best things actually happen. You just can kind of, I guess, flow into or fall into it things. But I'm really interested in cosine. So tell me about cosine.
Yeah, well, the business actually started out as it's a technical consulting group, and it actually originally was part of Elite's outsource, well, not outsourced, but part of Elite's development group. Elite had a New Zealand development office, and so
Hmm.
Russ, my business partners, 3 of them, Russ Holmes, Alan Chen, and Justin Bortnicker, who's also been at Elite for longer than me, 20 something years. I think he was at Elite. But Russ and Alan led up the team in Auckland for Elite's development team. They were primary developers on WebView for
Hmm.
folks who go back to the enterprise and WebView days, and then subsequently moved on to the 3E development team. But then in the late 2000s, went off on their own and started their own business doing technical consulting for 3E. And so that's what they did for pretty much ever up until 2016, when there was a gap in the market for a matter planning tool. Because Elite had, gosh, this is a bit of history. Elite had bought Hildebrand Baker Robbins. Coming along with that was a product called Engage, which people in this
Hmm.
space will remember. And
Hmm.
that was sold for a little while by Elite, but was subsequently, due to some technical issues with the product and the platform, they end of life that product, and it left a gap. And so I went to Russ and said, "Hey, mate, you should build a matter planning tool directly in 3E. People will love it." Um, and they did, as it turns out. So that's where the first tool for Cosine came about. There was no competitive interest or conflict with Elite, and so the team were happy for me to be involved in that. We subsequently negotiated a reseller arrangement with Cosine. This is whilst I was still at Elite. And that reseller arrangement continued after I joined Elite for some time. We don't have that any longer. We're a bigger and different organization now. So that was a
Hmm.
few years back that ended. But Yeah, Cosign's now become a software company. We have 6 modules and all built inside Elite. We're the only vendor that does that. So we have a pretty special
Amazing.
relationship with Elite, and we do things that nobody else does because we use all of the stuff that's already there in the 3 platform that clients own, and we just make it better. Our clients tell us 2 funny things, and these are true client comments. Cosine makes 3E shiny. So we build a layered experience. We have our own user experience on top of 3E. Basically,
Mhm.
3E is fantastic, very powerful tool, but its user experience isn't really something that goes well out to lawyers and their teams. And so we build that piece, just the user experience on the edge of it that's built for
Mhm.
lawyers and their teams. And so, yeah, our clients say we make 3E shiny. And more recently, this is a good one actually from one of our clients, the finance chap. I won't name him on this recording, but they have our matter planning tool. And he said, you know what, I'm going to get into your AP suite of products next as soon as we've got some time to get that in. And I said, oh, okay, thanks for letting us know. Are you going through a process? And he said, no, probably not. You guys are just one less headache. And that were his exact words. He just sees us because it's all in 3E. There's no integration. There's no managing all of that. There's no extra cost of the lifetime ownership of some bolt-on product on the side. So he just sees us as being 3E, really, which is what most of our clients do. And that just makes it an easy decision for them. Their IT team look at it and say, oh, it's just in 3E. Okay, we don't need to do anything great. So it just makes it easier for people. That ease of use and management for administrators, along with the user experience for lawyers, just makes us a perfect fit to sit on top of 3E as a really powerful finance platform. So it's a pretty simple business model, but that's it. We just build a bunch of cool stuff that people have been asking for years. My
Mhm.
role at Elite in sales over almost 15 years led into lots of conversations where people say, wouldn't it be great if 3 could do this? And so I had all that up here. And we've just gone and built a bunch of it over the past 6 years and been very successful doing it. It's a simple model, but been lots of fun, lots of hard work, but lots of fun too.
Isn't it fantastic when companies can collaborate like that? So when you've actually got the core software and when people do the core software do it really, really well, they deliver a great product and that sort of stuff. And what they do is they actually then say, this is where we're going to put our efforts and our investment. But then what they do is they find a trusted partner they can work with that can plug the gaps, can be innovative, plug the gaps, can go to marketplace. I mean, it's outsourced innovation to a degree.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been great since there's questions around the market for a while. What's going to happen with Elite being sold from Thomson Reuters and TPG and all that stuff? But personally, I think that was a fantastic move.
Mm,
I felt that Thomson. This is just my personal opinion, not the opinion of Cosine or others. But I just think Elite was not being looked after by Thomson Reuters as well. They didn't really know what to do with it. It was sort of like a square peg in a round hole. And so with the sale to TPG, obviously they've gone through some change, and there's always some stress around all of that and changes to company organization, all that sort of thing. But I really think it's been a positive move, and it's certainly allowed us to have a closer relationship with Elite without all of the bureaucracy of Thomson Reuters on top. I think they've got a little way to go before all that gets bedded down, but I think overall, I think the move's been fantastic. They're building up a really good leadership team, it seems. I just saw another announcement for a new support manager, I think, that just hit the wire this afternoon. So,
mm,
yeah, I think they're going to continue to do really well. And what I've seen is them focusing sort of back on their clients, looking down on their clients,
yeah,
and I mean in a positive way rather than looking up to the
yeah.
bureaucracy above them at Thomson Reuters. So I think it's a positive thing.
Very interesting. I mean, the sort of work you do, you get deep into, I guess, client problems and client issues and things like that. Have you got a story for me about how, I guess, the the cosine software has actually changed, the way that clients work and has made life better for them, as a business, but also individually as well.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I mentioned a couple of things that clients say, and they were
Mm,
real stories about people just telling us, you know what, your stuff just makes our lives easier. I guess a couple of examples. Let's start with the first product, matter planning. Matter planning has a unique position. As I've said, all of our products are built in 3E, which gives them sort of unique advantages. One in particular in matter planning is that we have access to all of 3E's rate structures, and we can get into all that juicy data in 3E just live. It's right there, sitting right next to where we are, and so that makes it easy for us to deliver experiences for people that's harder from with other tools that sort of sit off to the side and don't have the same access to the data that we do. So one of the things we see a lot in our implementations, and it's really good fun. So I still do for some of our meta planning engagements, I'll go on site for our strategic discussions over a couple of days. And the last
Mm,
half of the second day there, we sit in, we get stuck right into their real data. We have a
mm,
feature called auto plans, which allows us just to start standing up basically budgets based on what's in their 3-year system today. And it's so funny to do that over an hour or so, watch the data build out, and we're continuing our discussion, but then we'll come back on a break and take a look and have a look at how many of their budgets are over, for example. We've got these progress bars that show you in the red, obviously, when you're over 100% of your budget. And the conversations that starts is so interesting. It's not always that the budgets are really over in the real world. It's just that nobody's ever updated the data because they never had a system that facilitated that in an easy way. And
mm,
so that one's always it's always fun to watch people come to that realization, wow, this is going to make us so much more agile. So that's just really interesting. That happens on every engagement where we come in and we see the plans, and it's so often in the red. As I said,
mm,
not because they're actually over budget, but because they just haven't had the tools they needed to manage their business more effectively. And so that's always an eye opener. And it's always fun to see that bit at the end of the second day of 2 days. Everyone's tired, but you get this great feedback. Wow, I can put this in front of partners and get them to change their behavior, and that's true. We've heard that
mm,
from firms with real client feedback, where clients have told us that, you know what, people, lawyers, when they put budgets in historically, they didn't really see it out the other end. It was on some management report. They just threw a number in, stick their finger in the air, and it never really showed up anywhere. But with our tool, and I'm sure others as well, it's front and center. So when they put a budget in, even if it's too low or it's too high, if it's
mm,
not an accurate budget, they look a little silly to their peers who can also see this data now that it's exposed to them every day. And our clients have told us, several of them have said this changed behavior for us overnight, because lawyers realized that they had to be more thoughtful about the number they put into the system. And so it really was another great moment on the feedback side to hear that it really was making changes to people's lives. Actually, you mentioned ILTA. I had a great
mm,
conversation with one of the pricing people at one of our clients. I'll say Barnes Thornburg, a great group of people over there. So hello to all of you guys over there. And just a brief conversation. It was I think the end of the Wednesday at ILTO. Any case, the woman I was speaking to just said, "Hey, thanks so much for helping us with your tool. It's really made our lives easier every single day." Just from little
mm,
things. She went on. I won't relate them here, but little things that she does every single day that were made easier, to some big things that they didn't even know our tool did, but
mm,
realized after the fact, oh wow, we could use this tool for something else that we had in mind. And so
mm,
that's really positive as well. And we're seeing the same thing on, I don't know, our pro forma module is our biggest selling tool this year. We've just recently skinned that in our Cosine UI. We've had the tool for years, but we've put the new Cosine user experience on it, and that's
mm,
been a hit this year as well. Just because it brings, again, it was something that clients had been asking for forever. Why can't we have just pro forma edit, but with a user experience that lawyers can use? And so that's what we've done. We've just put a beautiful end user experience on top of native 3 Proforma Edit. And that's been, I think, really transformative. And I know that's a buzzword, but I'm actually using that word, I think, correctly here. People see it and go, oh, wow, this sort of just makes sense.
mm.
Doing things that clients have been asking for a number of years. Who knew, right?
It's interesting because I mean, what it sounds to me like is that you're actually empowering users to be able to get access to information that can actually push the practice in the right way and get the right kind of decisions made versus being gut and emotional decisions. So there's more business-like sort of things. That means that it gives people a voice because with data, yeah, a voice with data is a very powerful thing versus just a voice saying, well, I think it's like this or I think it's like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. I mean, there's so much data in 3E. I was right at the beginning, April 1st in San Diego, I think we were, when 3E was launched. There is, and it's come so far since then, of course. But there's so much data in there, and some of it's just hard to get at. And there are lots of tools that help you with that. And we don't do anything revolutionary in that respect, I suppose, but we do just make it easier to get the information that's there, and do so in ways where our core design philosophy is, how would a lawyer or somebody supporting them engage with this data? How do we make it so it's less clicks? Because we just know they're not going to look. If it's 3 or 4 clicks, they won't go there. So
Yeah.
we've got to make it 1 or 2 clicks. And so that's our primary focus. We're just giving people access to data that they need. For example, going into one of our Matter plan, you're talking to a client on a phone. 1 click, you can update that data to as of right now. So you've got up to the minute data, including access to, well, I've got a draft bill out there for this. Let me talk with the client about that while I'm on the phone. I just was on site with them, and I have some travel and related expenses that I need to get onto that invoice before I send it to them.
Mm.
All of that information available in one easy location, where otherwise they just wouldn't see it, or they'd have to click multiple times to get to it, so they wouldn't go. And so that really is our core philosophy. Just it's not revolutionary, as I said, in that respect. It's just making data easy to get to.
Mm. Now, it sounds like you've got an amazing suite of products that actually do empower users and that actually do reduce the amount of time people have got. So it means they get home sooner, get to do the things they really like doing, and give them those
Hope so.
magical hours in the day. Really, that's one of the things. I'm interested. I mean, as a business owner, I mean, and as a previous software company owner and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's not easy. It's actually hard going. I mean, and I guess for the people out there who are actually other sort of legal tech companies or people who've got software companies, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a real journey. I mean, do you want to share with us, I guess, some of the ups and downs and how you sort of got through them? I guess probably some of the areas where it was harder that you found in building this business.
Yeah, I think we did it perfectly, Dave, first time, and there were never any mistakes made anywhere. That's what I got to
Oh
say to you
yeah.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think we've our biggest challenge really as a business has just been our growth trajectory, which has been loads of fun. As I said, we've grown very quickly over the past 6 years. And so all of our small firm processes that were here when I joined broke, of course, as we grew. We didn't have a management structure. We put all that in place. We've got a really fantastic group of developers who are predominantly Auckland based, but we have offices now in Philadelphia, London, Melbourne, and still our head office in Auckland. So we're now in 4 continents. We're in 5 time zones. We've got a bunch of people from not only different places, but also different stages in their career, where we've got a lot of seasoned folks on our team, but we've also got some, really smart younger folks as well who are just getting into their careers and have found a good spot to grow into a position at Cosine as we've grown. So we've got, and culturally, these people are different. People from the UK, from the US, from Australia,
Mm,
from Auckland, New Zealand. There are different walks of life there,
definitely.
particularly for people of different generations as well. So certainly, our challenge as we've grown has been scaling the business the right way, and we've done that without any capital injection at all. We've just done that organically. So we've been riding the cash flow red line there, hiring
Mm,
people that we could, putting them into the right spots, finding the right spot actually once you found the right person, and getting them into the right operational structure so we could continue to scale. And we've sort of done that now, which is great. We're at a point where, from a team perspective, we'll continue to grow, but we won't be ramping our human capital resource as much as we have over the past several years. I mean,
mm,
we were some points we were hiring 2 or 3 people at a time, which, by the way,
mm.
Dave, having helped us with some of our
Oh,
recruitment, mate. So thank
thank you.
you.
Yeah. Oh, pleasure.
It's been, honestly, your team have been really great in helping us find good folks in the industry. So I appreciate that
Oh,
partnership there.
thanks, Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, that's been the hardest bit: growing and scaling and making sure stuff doesn't break. And we absolutely made mistakes along the
Yeah.
way. I think the challenge, not the challenge, but the thing you just need to be comfortable with is that you'll make mistakes and you'll get things wrong. As long as you're getting the core pieces right, making sure the clients are liking your software for us, and that we're selling our software, that we're implementing it successfully, supporting it okay on the other side, and the money's coming in the door from the bills. If you got all that right, which is hard enough, the other pieces will fall into place, even though you get some of it wrong along the way. But that's all just part of, I think, managing. I think I've gotten older, maybe a little wiser. I don't know.
How do you, I mean, it's an incredible drive you've got. So, I mean, what motivates you? Like, what is the motivation for doing what you do?
I don't know. I loved Lego when I was younger, so I guess I like building things, and it's been fun. And I had when I was back at Elite and part of a great team there, I had lots of ideas about what we could do to make three even better. I loved it, and the product team there were doing a fantastic job as well. Their priorities focusing on the core and on getting what's now becoming a bigger thing in the legal industry, the three cloud, which is really taking off right now. So that part of the business, I saw Elite taking that road, and I saw an opportunity for Cosine to really build at the same time a complementary solution that would perfectly fit with what Elite were doing as well. And that's what we've done. So that's been a lot of fun. And really just the thing that motivates me is having, like the client I was talking about earlier, where
Mm.
this finance guy at one of our clients in Boston actually just said, oh yeah, we're good. We'll go with your stuff because it's one less headache. Just hearing a client have that sense of trust, that yeah, I'm just going to go with you guys. I know you look after us. I know you've got good products, and it just makes it easy for us. Why would we bother looking elsewhere? That's not normally the case, of course. People go through normal processes and those sorts of things, but it's nice to see that feedback when we hear real people saying that our software helped us. That's really what drives me, and I like building stuff as well. Generally, as I said, we've put together a great team. We have lots of laughs along the way, and I think that's important too from a culture perspective. Just making sure everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, if you're not happy, if this isn't the job for you, go find another one. I'm not
Yeah,
saying,
exactly.
I'm just saying, you should be somewhere where you're enjoying what you do. And that's nothing to do with Cosine or me. It's
Yeah.
about them. If you can find people like that, and we've got a great bunch of people who, as I said, we're growing quickly and we're scaling, and there's lots of bumps along the way. And so it does take a certain personality to be okay with that ride. But we've got a lot of good people here who have been through some of this before, actually, um, and um, and those people working together. There's frustrations, there's things you have to deal with each day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think most people get the benefit of satisfaction from their jobs, which is good.
I guess, yeah, look at it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's really important. I think there's at different stages of the journey. I guess some people phrase it, you're on the bus. There's a bus that's going somewhere, and they get on the bus, and sometimes they need to check out. Maybe you just need to check out and get off the bus because it's not the right kind of part of the journey. Some people want to stay on the bus for the whole journey. Some people actually want to come in and come out, that sort of stuff. But basically, I guess, you're absolutely right. I think it's, if it's not the right job for you, that sort of stuff, then they need to sort of do something else. But I think, but it sounds, I mean, your retention rate's been really amazing. Actually, you've hired some great people. You've actually retain those people. They've been along the journey. That's good for customers as well. I mean, customers love the
Yep.
fact they can go and talk to the same person, year after year and that kind of stuff, and they've got that knowledge of the business.
Yeah, it's true. Look, we've had a couple of staff who have turned over, but very few. I can count them on less than one hand, actually, a couple of fingers.
Mm,
So that's been great. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, those people were good people, I think, but just didn't have the right molds for, hey, there's going to be a little change here, guys. You're going to have to come along for the ride with us.
yeah,
There's going to be a few bumps along the way. They're going to be fun bumps, sort of like a roller
yeah,
coaster. Some people just want, that steady, more measured. I'd like to work in a larger firm with a bit of bureaucracy where I'm, happy doing my job and getting at 9, leaving at 5, that sort of thing. That's not
mm,
really our role here.
no,
We run a bit faster than that, and we have lots of robust meetings about things where, sometimes temperatures flare and people argue about the right way to do certain things. But in the end, we all come together and say, okay, great, we've all decided on the direction we're going to go. Let's go this way. And then everyone gets on with it. And that sort of culture is, I think it's hard to foster. That it doesn't always work perfectly. And as we've grown as a business, that's been a challenge in, as I mentioned, some of the cultural differences as well, in helping people understand that as we grow, their roles will change and evolve, and that's a good thing. But it also means there's more responsibility. There's less autonomy. We used to be a bunch of guys sitting and girls, by the way, sitting in a room, just saying, "What are we going to do? Let's build this. Okay, let's go."
yeah,
We can't do that anymore. We have development life cycles, and we've got management
mm,
oversight, and we've got all these things, which is correct for a business of our size now, but it does change things. And so helping people come along for that ride has been a tough one. I think there's, particularly with some of the younger team members who have got a lot to say and a lot of great ideas. And I
mm,
think sometimes we might move a little too slowly or not quite in the direction that they consider that their age and experience would dictate. We say, well, I don't
yeah,
know, let's go. We need to go this other direction. Here's why. Sometimes bringing people along with you is the hardest part. But if you can give them a good reason and help them understand the logic behind it, I just try and tell the truth and just be honest about things. Sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. I think for anyone listening who knows me, they've probably been involved in some of those meetings with me, where I speak my mind. But I think that's a good thing. I think people being honest with one another is important. Sometimes you can burn bridges a little faster that way, but I think for the most part, if people know where you stand and where you're coming from, they might say what they like about you, but hopefully for me, they'll at least say, well, you're always going to get exactly what he thinks,
Mm.
because that's generally what I do.
Yeah, I think consistency is a pretty important thing. I mean, people being consistent and the way they do everything, I think, is actually one of those. It's a really great base to have in a business whereby, it is growing. And it's interesting because on some other podcasts as well, we talked about, leaders in a business and the shadow they cast, and
Mhm.
how everything you kind of say. And I mean, in that sort of that frame, I guess consistency and being consistent in a growing environment actually is good. So as you say, being open, honest and direct and that kind of stuff about what's going on, I think is a really important thing.
Yeah, it is. It can be a harder route sometimes. As I said, people sometimes don't like the hard, honest truth. But I think ultimately, when they reflect on it, in the end, they come back around and realize, oh, you know what? He was right. And not. I don't mean that you're always right kind of way, but it's good that somebody was straight up with me and told me where I needed to get better instead of couching that in something that was different. So I think that works well.
In growing businesses, one of the things that I actually often hear is that I guess around conflict and around how, of course, you guys never have conflict at all because, everyone gets along perfectly. But it's interesting that how do you respectfully disagree in a fast growing environment? How do you manage different opinions and actually get to a resolution? I mean, that's something that I think a number of people would want to know. And how have you done it successfully?
Yeah, I think I've become older. I think is probably the truth. I remember going back a number of years, I'd sit in a room with people and I thought I had some good ideas, and but I was frustrated that people weren't moving as fast as I thought they should. And
Mm,
and why can't they make decisions more quickly? It's very clear
mm,
what the right approach is here. And I think if nothing else, the past 6 years here has, I think, turned me into, probably for in a good way, to one of those people who sits back and thinks about things a little bit more, listens to what people say, and then makes more measured decisions. I used to rush at things a little faster, I think, and I think just some of that patience can be frustrating to people who want to move faster, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of people for whom that provides comfort. That, wow, there's so much going on here, and we've got, this and this needs to be fixed, and how do you deal with it every day? And the answer for me sometimes is I just let it happen, and then
mm,
I see how we can use. We've got some great people here, people who are a lot smarter than me, and if you can find where those people can provide their insights and their assistance, give it a little bit of time to brew, and then say, okay, well, let's hear what you have to say, and maybe that could help. Maybe there's someone over here on the other side of the business who might have nothing to do with a particular business decision, but just had some good ideas. One of our team members in New Zealand is just fantastic at that, coming up with good ideas a lot. Not all of them are great ideas, but if it's just one of half a dozen good ideas pays off, it's worth bringing all those things to the table. And so when we are trying to fix things or trying to measure and resolve problems, just letting people throw stuff at it. What are your ideas? How do you think we could fix this? We might not take them, but happy to hear what you say. And even if it's not the right idea, or even if it's not the direction we take, just making sure that everyone's comfortable sharing their ideas is the best way, I think, to get people engaged and make sure they
mm,
feel safe in doing so. Make sure people are happy to laugh at people occasionally in a nice way.
mm, mm.
So, yeah, that was a great idea, Dave. Good one. Everybody needs to laugh at themselves every now and again too.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I mean, how do you navigate between different cultures? Because actually, I think it's, if you look at the different cultures that are actually involved in your business, I mean, there are some people sort of say, oh, yeah, looking at it's Western world, that kind of thing. It's all similar things. No, it's different. The sense of humor is different. There's nuances that between these
Oh,
cultures.
totally. Very much so. Australians, I would put Kiwis and Australians in the same bucket.
Mm,
Um, very matter of fact,
mm,
a very sarcastic sense of humor. The English are like that as well, but in a slightly different way. American
Mhm.
humor and American personality, very different. And
Mm.
so all these people in a room together, sometimes you can have people saying, "Did he just say that? Did she just say what?" And you're like, "What do you
Yeah.
mean? She just said this or he just said that." That's just normal stuff for the way that's normal business communication in that culture. And sometimes I don't know, I've sort of gotten used to it. Since, as I said, early 2000s, I got in to Elite, and I was traveling around Asia Pac through a lot of Asian nations, which are very different again. But then starting to spend more time in the US and UK, and then moving to the US, where I've spent the last, oh gosh, 11 years. I was supposed to be here just for a bit of a working holiday for 5 years, Dave, and I'm still here. I have a 9-year-old American boy who tells us he's the only one in the house who can be president. So he's right. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've had the benefit, and it's been really. I think it's been a great thing for me personally as well, just having to work across a lot of different cultures, and so just coming to realize, oh, okay, so that was just a joke, and some people just don't get that, and it's so funny to watch people who are smart, thoughtful, within their own frame of reference, right on the money, but you put them
Mm.
outside of their comfort zone, and sometimes things can seem foreign to them very quickly. And it's interesting to see that and just helping people through all that. And like, don't worry, he was just joking. No safe space required.
It's funny, isn't it? What humor is one of those really, really interesting ones where you sort of go to yourself, I think, yeah, I mean, you certainly, I guess, working across the water as I have as well. I mean, you sort of might have a joke, or you might sort of say something that's a little bit it might go down well in Australia or New Zealand or the UK, but not might not well go down in the US. So you've got sort
Yeah,
of different
exactly.
kinds of, yeah,
Exactly.
it's tough. It really is tough. But I guess, the fact that you're willing to understand and willing to actually like listen and things, it's important.
Yeah, and you just gotta, I don't know, I'm pretty thick-skinned generally, and I have a pretty, we're a meritocracy here, and so, hey, you're good at what you do, and you bring it every day to work. We're gonna have some fun, we're gonna have some laughs, and some
Mm,
things aren't gonna come across the right way because we're dealing with different people in different time zones. People joining meetings at 5
mm,
a.m. in the morning, they've just got up and
mm,
haven't had their cup of coffee. You
mm.
just got to help people understand, hey, just give a little bit. We're all doing the best we can here, and we all look at things a little bit differently. And one person's experience, different to another, might mean, as you say rightly, a joke may seem funny to some, but not to others. But most of the time, it's just a joke. Sometimes it's not, and you got to deal with that if that sort of situation arrives.
Yep.
Obviously, but most of
Yeah.
the time, people are trying to do the right thing by others. I tend to think that most people are good in nature generally,
Mm.
and so if you see someone doing the wrong thing, it's often the case that they just don't even realize.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, yeah, and the sort of people that you've got the team, they're there for a reason. They're good people. So tell me about the future. What's the future bring for Cosine and for you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, Dave. Well, look, we're continuing to grow. As I mentioned a little earlier, I think we're probably stabilized now in size. We'll continue to grow where we need to, but we're slowing down on the very specific growth trajectory we've been on in terms of hiring people as soon as we possibly could, cash flow willing, and we're going to start to focus in on the processes we've now built. We've got some great people working with us across the business team that I manage. I've got John, who is our director of sales. He's doing a great job bringing in new business for us, and also working with our existing clients. He's great doing some client relationship stuff and sort of customer success stuff, I guess they call it these days. Casey Callan's our head of services. She came from Elite way back when as well. Actually, she was at eBilling Hub actually when Elite acquired eBilling Hub back in the
Oh,
day.
wow.
So yeah, so she's been through a growth
Mm.
trajectory with EBH, when then Elite acquired them back in the day, and so she's with us here now. And a bunch of other people. Tom Weinstock, who's like a 35-year veteran on the law firm side, and he manages our
Mm.
support operation, and got a great finance manager who's based in Auckland, Chandra. And so these guys are fantastic, and I think we're going to continue to build the processes that they're bedding in. Now that we only put that management structure in place, by the way, I guess it was 2 years ago. So we're really
Yeah.
we're really
Yeah, I
starting to
remember.
down that organization now, and so we'll continue to grow that. Our product lines just continue to grow. As I said, our Performa tool is probably the biggest one this year, just because we put the Cosine skin on it. Next year, we're putting the Cosine skin on our Statement Manager module, so a bit of a roadmap thing for you. So Statement Manager, helps generate, automate, and distribute billing statements. We're taking that to the next level, and I think that'll drive growth on that product line there as well. It does well, but I think the Cosine UI just makes it better. So we're continuing to just look at where we're making our products better, but really focused on cross-platform experiences. So, for example, from a matter plan, you can see your expenses, you can see your pro formas. From the pro forma, you can look back to your budget, so you can tell why the heck do we do this fixed fee arrangement? Well, I can see it right there on the plan. So now that we've got these products that sort of sit across work to cash, we can start to drive experiences through them that mean that lawyers don't have to go clicking 5 places to find what they're looking for. They can see, wherever they are in a Cosine product, they can see data from the other ones. And that just means less clicks, means they're more likely to click on it. It means if you're trying to get more adoption of your budgeting solution out into the end users so that you can focus on profitability as a business, well, there's multiple places if you have multiple Cosine platforms where a lawyer will be looking and see where the budget is. Simple things like that. It's nothing, again, not revolutionary, but just simple things that make access to information easy. So that's really where we're focused on building out cross-product experiences now. So it's like one flow through all of the products. And I think that's really resonating with people. We have, I don't know what the actual statistic is. It's probably about half of our clients have more than one of our 6 modules. We have about 25% of the global 3 client base now, and we're sort of focused on, we're focused on growing that. I'd like to see that by the end of 26. So I'm thinking 2 years out, that we'd have 50% of the global 3 client base as clients, and at least 50% of those would have more than 2 of our modules. And I think we can do that because we've got to the point now where our brand is pretty well recognized. People know who Cosine is now. We get people coming to our website, for example, and saying, hey, I'd like a demo of this product. We have lots of people coming to our webinars. So people know us now, so that gives us an easy door in. We know who our clients are, right? They're just 3 clients. All
perfect.
We have lots of relationships through all of the people in our organization across our client base and beyond as well. So continue to grow that, I think, is where we're at. Hopefully we'll slow down one day, so I can take a day off here and there. But that's probably us for the medium term. We're still focused on growing as a business, leveling out though. And probably to end on that point, I think focusing on really repeatable implementation experiences. Our implementations run reasonably well. They're not that big because our products are small sort of subsets of functionality, so they're not hard to deploy. The implementation's not like a 3 project where it's, a much bigger thing. It's a smaller group of people, 2 to 3 months. So they're not that hard, but we want to make them more repeatable. That's where we're sort of focusing on from an operational perspective on the services side there too.
So if you're one of the 75% of the clients that aren't with Cosine right now, they should hurry up and actually have a conversation with you to jump on board.
Why don't they know it?
I was going to say they should know. You should just get on board.
Yeah, look, we actually don't do a lot of marketing, Dave. We've been so busy. If we had gone twice as fast, we probably would have fallen down. And so it's been sort of a deliberate thing where we've been busy enough just with organic word of mouth type marketing for the most part. That's been keeping us on track in terms of what our desired growth trajectory was. Any faster, it might have been a little bit more challenging. And so now we're at the point where we've stabilized that. I think we can start to get it, start to scale some of that a bit more too, which will be good. What the future brings, who knows, mate? We're just doing what we're doing here, and I think the market has shown us they love our stuff, and so we're going to continue to do what we do.
No, it's fantastic. It's a great success story. I mean, and I know how hard you've worked, Lucas. I mean, the team have actually worked to bring these solutions out to marketplace, and the fact you've got 25% of the elite client base is just incredible. And I mean, I can only see that sort of growing quickly as well as people as firms talk to each other and sort of see, well, actually, these guys are doing it this way. It's better. They're getting more results. They're getting better results from the business and things. It's easier. It's better. and I can only see that sort of that increasing. But yeah, fantastic, mate. Always fantastic to chat with you.
Yeah, good. Mate.
Yeah, it'd be great when you come back to Oz at some point in time, or if I'm over there or whatever, we'll have to catch up for that long-awaited beer.
Yeah, we'll be. I'll give a leader plug here. We'll be back over for the Vantage conference in that's February, right? I think in
Oh,
Sydney
well,
for
we'll see
Elite.
you then.
So yeah, I'll be there, and then off into I don't know if you'll be over in London for their London one or Orlando for their US one in May, I
Most
think.
Yeah, I expect you doing something. One of the two, one of the or two of the three will be doing something like that. But it'd be great to catch up with that in that time anyway.
That sounds great, mate. Love to.
Mate, fantastic to see you. Take care. Thanks so much for your time today, Lucas.
Good to see you, mate. All the best.